Good evening everyone, hope you're well. Anytime notebook time for We Love Betting. Let's rattle through them this week. Not much explaining to do, they pretty much speak for themselves. We'll start off with Coventry. So I was at the Rico last Saturday, Coventry versus Preston. Always easy to kind of go with what's fresh in the memory. Yeah, let's start off with Coventry then first of all. 3 losses on the bounce. They face a Crawley side that are going pretty well. Can't quite make my mind up whether I want to back Crawley this weekend, but I can definitely see some reasons for it if you were that way inclined. Let's talk about Ryan Haynes, Coventry left wing back, proper left wing back as well. Excellent going forward with the ball at his feet. Had a real good first start to the season. Defensively though, from what I've seen of him in the handful of games I've seen him this year, always looks a bit suspect to me. And I called it on the walk up to the Rico on Saturday that Preston will probably recall Chris Humphries and try and exploit some space down that right hand side. So we play 3 at the back and then a couple of wing backs, but those wing backs really are getting forward and there's loads of space. And true enough, you know, Humphries got a fair amount of space and lucky not to get onto at the end of a couple of chances. So it's an area that I think probably Simon Grayson pinpointed as to get at us, and it's definitely an area that John Gregory will probably do the same when Crawley visit this weekend. So I'm looking down that Crawley list. Gwyn Edwards, who's not a name, I hope I said his name right, we'll call him Mr. Edwards from now on, but yeah, Crawley winger, spent some time up in Scotland. Yeah, good young player, come from Swansea, who I imagine have a decent kind of youth system there. So I can see him, you know, not an outstanding goal scoring record by any means, but I can see him kind of operating on that right hand side, getting a bit of pace and maybe, you know, finding a few more opportunities than he would do normally. And if, you know, that's the case, I think what we're looking for here. So 5-1 he goes off at. He happily makes the notebook. Let's go down into League 2 then next of all. Oxford versus Newport, taking up plenty of column inches in some of the blogs that I've read this week already. Interesting times for Michael Appleton, I think. Yeah, you know, Oxford, I've spent a fair few Saturdays at the Kassam Stadium, and they're a fan base that I think, you know, are more than willing to give a manager a chance. And I think Michael Appleton will get the time that he needs. I know they're playing decent football. If they are going to turn things around, this looks like a nice weekend to do it for me. Because Newport, I remember putting them up a couple of weeks into the season. They had a horrible start. 3 of their first 4 games came away from home. Once they got back to home ground, started building up a bit of momentum, started building up a bit of form. Then they've managed to kind of convert that away form into something that looks like kind of resolute defending, hitting teams on the break. That's exactly what they did at Fratton Park when they beat Portsmouth 1-0. A couple of 0-0 draws. Again, Shrewsbury and Tranmere kind of recently. I think they're prepared to sit back, soak up a bit of pressure. And I think if Oxford, you know, if Michael Appleton's looking at this, then there's a good opportunity. You know they're going to not pose too many threats. You know they're going to try and hit you on the break, so you keep it nice and safe. But let's just, you know, if we want to turn around this form, you know, the clock's ticking. There's teams that are moving away from them at the bottom of that division, so they've got to kind of get moving quickly enough. I think, yeah, this is kind of where Oxford might start to kind of really kind of hit the ground, I think, and yeah, and kind of realise that there's not going to be too many chances. So, you know, high tempo, getting the ball in the box. I weren't going to put up Danny Hilton at all when I first saw it. I thought, well, he's bound to be a short enough price. Oxford's top goal scorer this season. I was expecting, you know, this is what I do. I kind of look at the goal scorer, think about what kind of price I might want to back him at, and I was thinking kind of 7-4, 13-8, but 19-10 he's going off out in the Betfair Sportsbook. So I'll happily take that and add him to the Anytime Notebook this weekend. So Danny Hilton is the second one in line. Preston we'll go to next of all. Yeah, really impressed with them last week. Some good team spirit, and I think, yeah, good kind of performance, I think, for those of us that are back to Manty Post. Look full of goals, as do Colchester, who visit Deepdale this week. And yeah, Colchester going well. I think if it weren't for that comeback by Sheffield United, they could have easily gone through September unbeaten. So the key point from the notebook that I took last week when I saw Preston live in action was I had originally thought that kind of Alan Brown and Neil Kilkenny were both kind of deep line midfielders, both anchoring that midfield, and that may very well be the case, but I'm pretty sure Alan Brown gets forward a lot more than I thought he did. He definitely got a little circle in the programme from me. No reason, I think, why he shouldn't be going off that kind of Josh Brownhill 7-2, Chris Humphrey, who we mentioned. Maybe, you know, Paul Gallagher often goes off a bit shorter, but no reason why they shouldn't be going off at that 3-1, 7-2 mark for me in support of Joe Garner up front. So I'll definitely put Alan Brown up, like I said, who gets forward a lot more than I thought he did, at 6-1. I think that looks a good angle this weekend. So we'll put up Alan Brown 6-1 as Preston host Colchester. Danny Hilton at 19-10 for Oxford, who need to hit the ground running against Newport, and I think they may just do that. And Gwyn Edwards, Crawley winger, 5-1 as Crawley look to exploit the space on that left-hand side against Coventry, who look, a suspect defensively without Reeder Johnson, as we may have expected them to do so. Whatever you're backing this weekend, have a fantastic one. Be lucky, and I'll see you on the other side.